Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of MMIC, the podcast all about mortgage marketing and how to make it cool again. And I am with probably one of the coolest men I've ever met in the mortgage business and maybe just life in general, Raul. Raul Espinosa. Raul, what's up, man? How are you doing today?
Hey, good. Thank you. That was an awesome intro, man. Like I've never been called cool before. So
well, it's easy to do in our industry. So there's
awesome.
That's kind of what we're here to talk about today, though, is this is an interesting time of life in the mortgage business, and a lot of companies are looking very introspectively about where are we spending our money and who are we as a company, right? So if you think about the last couple months, rates going crazy high, we've seen some dramatic layoffs and dramatic shifts and mergers, acquisitions, all these different companies. A lot of the executives and senior executives of these companies have been looking introspectively to say, what do we need to do to become a more successful company going forward?
Right.
And so you and I kind of connected the other day and started chatting about this a little bit. And I've been following you for a while, and so very excited to talk to you today because you've done something that not many CMOs and marketing executives and companies have done, and that's making a mortgage company actually have a cool brand. There's you can count on one hand the number of companies that have done this, and you did it, dude. You took a mortgage company out of South Texas and that had a local name, local feel to it, and you made it a national brand that is something that the loan officers wanted to start repping themselves. So let's spend just a few minutes on, first the why. What was the thing that prompted the executives of this company to want to make that change?
Yeah, it was well, first I have to say, doing that, you definitely have to have a very strong team, right? And so it's some of the stuff that the role I played in it was pretty good part of it, but at the same time, none of it would be possible without an amazing team,
right?
And without buy-in from a lot of people, because for me, it's just a company I've worked with in the past. For them, it's this is my career, this is my life, this is where I want to be forever. And some of them are this is actually my company. And so it's very, it's very hard to be in that position because it's it's awesome. It's flattering because, people will actually give you the trust to do it. And it's extremely flattering, but you also have to be very careful. And, all that to say is just a lot of it, it's, you have to have that great team in place. And so, so the way it all kind of started was just, you're right. It's it was really hard to scale the old name because it's, it seemed very local. And so, the obviously for almost every company is, you want to scale, you want to go to other states. And so sometimes, those other states, well, if they see a name that feels local, then what are their customers going to say?
Right.
So it's kind of, you kind of get that kind of pullback, I guess. And so what we did is we tried to not only make something more universal and not feel localized, but just something when people work with me is just I'm all tatted up and I have my background's in entertainment, so I always go for cool. For me, the brands I love is just exciting. I want to be excited about it, and that can, and so we, when we did this, we tried to think of names and positioning to where it's not only do the consumer, not only are they excited about it, but also the people inside the company.
Right.
And so that way it's something that, when people, loan officers come up to work, they're excited about, and they're going to promote just as much as even their own name sometimes, right? Because they can kind of write off of that brand. And so that was huge. That was something that that was a problem that we tried to solve with. That was probably one of the main problems that we tried to solve with the naming convention. And it worked out really, really well. So and then I've gotten since then other contacts, they're hey, we want something similar. So it all kind of snowballed, and it's just awesome now. My main thing is branding, which is that's what I love doing. you know.
That's right. Well, and I think there's many mortgage companies out there, maybe some that are even listening to this podcast today,
Yeah.
that are thinking, okay, I do want to either expand in different markets outside of
Mhm.
my localized region of, Joe's Orange County home loans, right? To like
Yeah.
go out to, the entire state of California, or to
Yeah.
the West, or to nationwide, right? So I have a problem that I'm this very segmented brand to, I want to go to a
Right.
global brand, or so that's one problem, right?
Right.
Another problem might be we just feel old and crusty, and we want to have a refresh, so that we
Yeah.
can grow, right? We're
Yeah.
noticing that our loan officers are going to different organizations that have cooler brands, so we
Yeah.
want to be able to retain those loan officers. Or, hey, we want to refresh our culture,
Yeah.
and it starts from the branding, right? Who are we
Right.
as a company? And then, how do we energize the team that we have, but also bring on more staff as well? Because for
Right.
many mortgage companies and mortgage divisions of banks and credit unions, it's all about numbers. It's a numbers game. How
Right.
many officers can I get in the door? How many loans are they going to do? And what, percentage of that am I making, right? So, but it
Right.
always comes back down to what's the value of your company? And a big part of that is, how do I feel when I show up to work? How do I feel about
Right.
representing myself on LinkedIn? How do I feel when I go to a realtor or to a builder or something like that with
Right.
the name of my company? Because it's not
Yeah.
just me, Joe Wilson, loan officer. It's me, Joe Wilson, part of ABC Mortgage Company, right?
Right. 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 Yeah. And I think like if you have like a naming convention that's maybe not as popular, and maybe some of these banks, they don't put a lot of money, especially in mortgage. A lot of these lending companies, they don't put a lot of money into marketing. So
Yeah.
what happens is a lot of these loan officers, they kind of have like one foot in the door, one foot out, because it's like, well, when I talk to people, I mean, they're basically having to go out, and this is something I want to talk about in a bit. They're having to kind of go out and get the work on their own, and there's
Yeah.
not like a lot of inbound, and a lot of that is due to that, because it's like, I just purchased a house within the last year, and you know, I didn't know what I was doing, and so it's like you want to find people you trust, and if you just haven't heard of anybody, if you haven't heard of the company, and you just don't know anything, it's very hard to find somebody, because, and so I think that's like what a lot of loan officers kind of struggle with, with a lot of, and I think maybe like some of these companies don't realize it's a lot of the branding,
Yep.
right? And so it's very hard to get inbound, consumers for that reason. So
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because I think this interesting point. So with branding, because I think a lot of times when we think about what is branding, a lot of people think it's just a
mhm.
logo, or it's the
Exactly. Yeah.
colors
Oh
that I have,
God, thank
right?
you. Thank you.
And I think the reason why a lot of mortgage banks and divisions don't want to spend money on marketing is because they don't fully understand what it
Mhm.
represents and what it can entail for their organization. So
Right.
if we think, basically branding or marketing is my logo, my colors,
Yep.
and the flyers that my loan officers request
Yep.
to bring to the realtors' offices, that's not really worth the money. But what you're
Exactly.
saying is branding goes and I guess I'm saying by extension too. But like what we're saying is that branding, it goes beyond just that. So talk
Yeah.
to us a little bit about, really quickly, like how, like when you, I mean, because right now, you're doing a lot with Dude Media. Is
Yeah.
that the name of the company? I got it right,
Yeah.
that
The dude.
right?
The Dude Media. I got
The
it from the
Dude Media.
movie The Big Lebowski. If anyone's seen that movie, The Dude,
I love
it's
it.
like one of my favorite movies.
The Dude. So
Yeah.
so you're running The Dude Media right
Yeah.
now, and you're working with a lot of these mortgage companies, and a sense of, you're going into them and you're talking about branding. So where do you
Right.
start with that then? How do you kind of go in
Yeah.
and help these executives start thinking about why this is important and what they need to do about it?
Yeah. 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 So, a lot of times what I do actually is I listen, because that's one of the biggest things, like we talk about branding, like and you mentioned, which I'm like, thank you so much. Branding isn't just like a logo, because I get that a lot. It's like, hey, I want to hire you for branding. Yeah, I need a new logo.
No.
And really, there's bigger problems to solve than the logo. Like, logo is important, and again, like we'll talk about this in a second, but there's something actually a lot greater than logo when it comes to brand, right? And so branding is just basically like what people see and feel and expect when they hear your name, or when they see you, when they talk to you, when they see your brand online, right?
Yep.
It's more like the experience. And
Gotcha.
so like with brand, I like to story tell. And so that's how we kind of build trust, right? With brand is like you tell a story. And so sometimes like I can't just go in and just like fix somebody's brand right away, right? Because it's like I have to really listen to their past, their, you know, their future, their present, because I have to get like an idea of like what's been going on. And that really helps me build the story. And a lot of times I actually don't even make up these stories. A lot of times it's just, you know, I worked with a company and it was like they're doing all of this really cool community outreach. And, you know, a lot of companies, as an example, like they don't want to talk about their community outreach because they feel like they're bragging, like, oh, look what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like so many people can relate to that. And so like you want to like say these things. So a lot of times that's kind of how things start. Like I just have a lot of questions like, what are you involved in? You know, what are the past, future goals, mission, all of this stuff all together. It's usually just like an interview style. And then I'll kind of go back and I'll, you know, kind of structure things and I'll do a ton of research and I come back with them and just like, you know, here's something that we can start to talk about. And then a lot of times with branding, I try to talk really close to the CEOs just because they've either been entrusted because, you know, through the owners, or I talk to the owners themselves. And so we really want to get a certain feel. And
Mhm.
a lot of these people, like they don't know how to do it. And so that's kind of like what I'm there for. I'm like in the middle of marketing and the company. And so I kind of make these two people like marketing, you know, and I just try to make everyone communicate, you know,
Yep.
and just kind of feel each other out and know how things work. So
Well, yeah,
that's a big,
sometimes you know, executives need somebody on the outside to help them verbalize what they're thinking,
yes,
right? And I
yes,
think, you know, if you don't have that experience and you're in, you know, a leadership position at a mortgage company, it's difficult to say what it is that you want when you don't have that marketing background, right?
very difficult.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of and you know, and then a lot of times in that marketing division, and this is no knock on mortgage marketers in general, but a lot of times they don't have, you know, they do get pigeonholed into doing
Hmm.
very low level tasks that could be done by,
Yeah.
you know, like an outsourced company or whatever.
Hmm.
That they're literally just making flyers, or
Yes. Yeah,
they're
stuff
updating the
that you,
website or things like that, right? They're
yeah,
not
stuff you don't even have to pay for anymore. You can go to Vistaprint and get it for free, or, you know,
exactly.
pay the printing costs. I mean, or
You're
Canva has
right.
it for free. So
You're
yeah,
right. It's wild.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then I think, you know, the other part about it is just, you know, a lot of mortgage lenders, they have very like tunnel vision, right? Because like their main focus is mortgage industry, competition, scale, right? And so it's very, very much like tunnel vision. And so what I often do, and that was kind of like, kind of the way I made my mark in the mortgage industry was just, I came from the outside. I was doing totally different things.
Yep.
And so as much as I would love to take credit for a lot of this stuff, I can't, because it's just like these are the things that are going on in other industries
Yeah.
that oftentimes a lot of these executives, they just don't see it because they're very much tunnel vision, you know, they're very much just focused on mortgage. And so sometimes to kind of have that outside perspective and blend the ideas together, it works out really well. And again, like I can't take the credit for this stuff, but I will when I'm at work, you know.
No, you're great. It's great. Well, I think you bring up a good point, is that, you know, your background in the entertainment industry really, I think, breeds a really important background and thought process of how to help these companies think about how they're being viewed, right? The entertainment industry,
Mhm.
for whatever you think about it, right? Whether it's good or whether you think it's good or bad, it is very influential. And it's
Very,
very
very
influential on
much.
two different things, right? One, about trends and setting trends, but two,
Right.
about influencing consumer behavior, right? And
Right.
ultimately, that's what your branding and what you as a marketing or a mortgage company want to do, is influence prospective borrowers, to your
Right.
current borrower base, as well as all your referral agents, to want to work with you. And if your
Mhm.
brand represents this whole aura of, we're, you know, and depending on whatever your company values and principles are, if you're not talking about those and thinking about it and espousing your brand at every level of the organization,
Right.
then they're not going to want to work with you. They're going to think that you're just like the same as everybody else. But if you
Right.
time you invest in a branding exercise and really truly implement it the right way, you can really turn heads. Because think about it. Think about brands, and this is a rhetorical question for anybody watching, but like think about brands that you recognize in the mortgage business, right? They're either been around for a very long time and you just know them because you've been in the business for a long time, or they're a newer upstart, like someone like a Movement Mortgage or Thrive that you help with, right?
Yeah.
That have made a real name and have a very strong brand. But what I want to talk about though, coming off that though, is how it needs to be implemented, right? And so when a company is implementing a brand new brand, or they want to go through a refresh or really help kind of lift themselves up above the normal like kind of base level for a mortgage company, it does have to be a top-down effort. And it does have to be thought about how your company brand is represented at the executive level, at all of your internal pieces. Also how to implement it across your loan officers, because they are your brand representatives, but they also have their own personal brand as well. Raul, what do you think about this? Like, how do you think about this in terms of like thinking about rebranding a company and getting through all those different levels?
Yeah, one of the big things I've been kind of keeping my eye on for a while, and a lot of people have brought up personal brand lately, and it's something that's going to be huge in 2023, and I think that's going to be huge because again, I think a lot of loan officers can have one foot in, one foot out, and I think that if you can focus on your brand, your personal brand, but you see it being implemented from the top, I feel like everyone's on the same page, because again, it's like branding is like a team effort.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand that we have these things where it's like, our loan officers are so competitive, and they want the most. But at the same time, is like, if we can help each other out, like we all win.
Yeah.
Right. If a CMO at the top of a company, or a CEO, is out there working on their personal brand every day, and out like doing podcasts and live streams and out doing these things, and just, out there representing the company, then it's like you're kind of making a path for your loan officers to do the same thing. Right.
Bingo.
And at the end of the day, so much inbound, like I can't stress like how much inbound sales that come in, because it's like people just know everybody. They feel like they know you. So everybody wins. And so I think that's just like, that's the key to a lot of this, is just like, it's got to come from the top, and it's got to trickle down.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, we call that like, we at first, and this is what's going to be big in 2023. So, it's called like KPIs, like key person of influence. Right. And so basically what we can think of this is really good examples, is, Elon Musk, right? Like love him or like absolutely hate him, right? So like let's put let's put all that aside. But he has one company, right? Well, we'll just talk about one of his companies, and it's Tesla, right?
Yep.
And so you go to like Twitter and you look at Tesla, and they probably have like I actually have it on a slideshow here, but like they probably have a pretty good amount of followers, right? Probably, let's just say 13 million. And then you go to like Elon Musk's personal page, and he has like triple.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like same thing, like Steve Jobs was a huge influence, right? On Apple, right? So it's like when the iPhone was announced, it wasn't just the iPhone, it was also Steve Jobs, as a person of influence. And so this is huge right now. A lot of people are catching on to this, because they're starting to see that there's so many companies, and their CMOs and their CEOs are out representing, and so many, like, people just identify way more with a person than they do with a logo, and so that's what we're really starting to see. And so, one question I have for you, Joe, is like, and this is like, it is a trick question, but if you don't get it right, it's totally cool. I actually got it wrong. I couldn't figure it out. But like, what's the first color of the first G in Google in the logo?
Oh, geez. I think it's red.
Okay. So think about this. How many times are we on Google?
All the time.
Every single day. We're constantly on Google, and most people don't even know the color of the first G of Google. So if anyone knows it, it's blue.
Oh, see, I was wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's blue. And it's so crazy because, I also, I saw that on a video, and I was like, I had no idea it was even blue. I just never thought about it. And
What
so
did you guess? What was your
I think it
guess?
was green or something. I
Green.
think I
Yeah.
guessed green. Yeah. But what it really was for me was just in my head. I was like trying to figure out the colors, and I was like, I just couldn't think about it. I know the logo, the mark. I just
Yep.
couldn't remember the details. And so I think that, like, again, going back to Tesla, right? Who knows the logo of Tesla? I mean, probably, people do, right?
Yeah.
But the majority of people are going to know Elon Musk. Like,
Yep.
that's just like,
Everybody knows Elon Musk.
everybody knows Elon Musk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and there's other examples, right, that are less controversial, but like, but yeah, no, I mean, and so and so that's the thing, is we can actually use that, right? With our brand,
Well,
right?
dude,
So
let's pull up. You put together a little presentation. Let's pull. I
yeah,
think this might be time to pull this up, and I don't
yeah,
know if you
yeah.
want to
So
fast
there's
forward.
definitely some spoilers in there.
Yeah.
What I just said, but yeah. So this is just something I put together, right? For companies, to, like, when you say, like, hey, how do you start with companies on their branding? A lot of it is just like, how involved do you want to be in the
Yeah.
brand? Because right now, it's the fastest way to really grow a company right now is when your CEO is actually doing podcasts,
Yep.
publishing books, things like this. And the funny thing about it is you don't even have to mention, like, the number of times that Elon Musk even talks about Tesla is very small. It's just being present online, and so people know who you are. So I'm not going to read through all this, but I just want to show you. Yeah, see right here, at the time I took these snapshots, Apple has 8.7 million followers, which is a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And they do marketing for just Apple, right? You see, everyone's seen the commercials. But yeah, Tim Cook has 13.7 million.
See,
So
this is like, I
almost
think
double.
this is the most important point, and you brought the Elon Musk one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is people want to follow people, not brands.
Yes.
No, they obviously
Exactly.
will follow brands, but it's the people behind it that are the most important thing, right? And
Yeah.
so it is important for the Tim Cooks, the Elon Musks, the CEOs of the company to do it, but it's equally as important to make your loan officers these KPIs as well.
Exactly.
Influence,
Exactly.
right? Every
Yeah, and Tim Cook,
important.
yeah, exactly. And like Tim Cook, he's only been at Apple for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So everybody knows who Tim Cook is, and so but does Tim Cook go around promoting Apple? Not really. He just talks about whatever all the time. He's just online all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's like the one, a very important piece, is just you can have your business, right? And actually, one thing I do want to say is, if you are a loan officer and you have your team name, right? And I know a lot of loan officers want to promote their team name. That's fine. Make a separate account for that.
Yep.
And keep your account your name.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That way, and then what you do is you primarily do content on your account. This is the way I do it. So I'm not just like saying this and not doing it. This is the way I do it, right? Like, actually, I'm not even sure if you knew that I had the Dude Media before this conversation.
I honestly did not know. Right.
Yeah, so
we talked about it before the call. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do, is like, I just promote myself. Yep. People know me, they see what I do. And then eventually, again, it's like when we work together, then you'll see the Dude Media. But yeah, so every loan officer can do that. I highly recommend separating them and, really promoting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this slide is just like, people resonate more with people than they do with logos. And so here's the whole Google thing, right? I jumped the gun.
That's all right.
But no, it does, we talk about like the first G and Go. So here's the proof, right? That's, our brains, like, although logos are very, very important, like, don't get me wrong, like, logos are extremely important. And we do, we have to be careful how we present our logos and how we use it. But they definitely are not the end all be all of your brand. And I think that's what a lot of people should hopefully can take away from this, actually. And then the last thing that I'll kind of talk about is, there's four I guess pillars or P's to being a key person of influence for your business, right? And that's, one, you got to publish content, whether that be like books, podcasts, blog. We all see this all the time, right? We see these people, and everybody has a book now. They wrote a book, and this is how they get podcasts. This is how they, you give people stuff to talk about other than your business, right? Because nobody wants to be sold a product,
right?
They want to just buy into it. They want to, like, so that's how you do that. And then, you have a product ecosystem, which is, you don't want to sell your time. Like right now, I'm not charging Joe for any of this advice. I'm not charging Joe for this interview, nothing. I'm giving you like my time. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing you want to do too. Like we don't want to put a price tag on like what we do. We just want to go out and want to do things. And then profile, which is, your reputation. Do you want to do podcasting? Do you want to, how is your profile going to be online? Right.
Yep.
And then partnership, right? Like I don't have a huge reach, right? So you want to partner with somebody who does.
Yep.
And that's how you build your reach. And so these are 4 kind of pillars to, being a key person of influence.
I love it. This is so cool. And I think, for specific for loan officers, right? Let's like think about this from, a marketing executive teaching this to their loan officers, right? Because I think a lot of this is really good advice for executives. But how do you then take this and filter it down for an LO?
Yeah, I think that you can totally do it because for LOs, it's actually the same concept. Because they have a product, people want to trust in them.
Yep.
Right. So all you do is there's I think that's like the end of the slide. The rest is just like it's nothing. Oh no, you're good. But like I think the other part of is the type of content that you can make, right? Is at the end of the day, like what we want is we want people to use our products, like we want to sell. And it's just the way we go about it. And so the way that loan officers, I often tell people, loan officers to promote themselves is just, there's 3 things that people want the most when they watch content. They either want to be validated in their opinion.
Yep.
They either want to be, like entertained.
Yep.
Or they want to be educated.
That's right. And
so 2 of those, I think most people can do, especially a lot of the loan officers that are hesitant. Because I know a lot of loan officers are like, I don't want to do TikTok because I don't dance. I don't do, and they feel totally out of their element. And trust me, I do too. Like, definitely, I'm not an entertainer. But one thing that we all can do as loan officers and branch managers is educate people and validate opinions. Right.
Right.
So those are the 3 things I think that loan officers can do to help themselves out with their own brand. Because once you validate someone's opinion, then they're going to subscribe. They're going to follow you. And then once you educate them, once you teach somebody something that they just didn't know, like you got them, right? You got them, and they're going to watch all the rest of your content.
Absolutely.
And
I think that the big thing with that is like, don't just throw one video up there and expect everyone to follow you, right? Like it's going to take time for you to build that content and publish it, and for you to build a following or a reason for people to follow you. But it's all being that consistency of creating that content and providing value for people to want to follow you, so that they do end up using you for loans in the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And it can just happen, well, we started talking, right? Cause we actually started DMing each other when I did one piece of content, and it was about how, you can use Joe Rogan's strategy, his podcast strategy to get more reach. And what I could easily say, oh, because of this one video, I made this contact, but really it was an accumulation of a lot of videos that got me to that one point. And, you and I have been going back and forth in the comment section of some of these videos. And, you guys do a lot of stuff with Shred, and I love Shred. So, so it's an accumulation of all of this, right? So you can't just do it one time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's gotta be multiple times. It's gotta be consistent. And, you got to follow up with people.
That's right.
So you got to follow through. It's not just, you can't just post content and ghost. Like you got to,
don't post and ghost. I hate that.
Yeah, don't post and ghost. Yeah, exactly. So, you want to, and in fact, I mean, it even helps you out if you don't ghost, right? Because the more comments that are in the sections, the more these algorithms are like, okay, this is a good piece of content. Let me keep pushing it.
Yep.
So you always want to respond, even if they're negative comments, you always want to respond in some type of way.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. The algorithm, from what we can ascertain and where is that today, right? The algorithms are always changing, but it's like, I think the 2 biggest things that the algorithm rewards, and by rewards is showing your content to more people, is engagement, whether that be someone liking your post, but really the best is commenting, right? If you can add comments on there by responding to people's comments, that's huge, right? If you respond to your comments and getting more people to comment on your posts, that's the number one thing you can do. The number two is just being consistent with posting. And that's something that social coach that we do from our software side of things, is help loan officers maintain that consistency through automation and to help them to post regularly. So really, I mean, there's not much that you have to do as an LO to maintain a long and strong presence. It's all about just being consistent and engaging when people engage with you. That's it.
It's easy. Like a lot of loan officers are like, how do I, and it's like, it's, like, don't overthink it. It really is like just the way you are with your friends online.
Yep.
You do that with, and then if you go the route of personal brand, right, then it's even easier, because again, it's like, you don't always want to sell someone on something. You don't always, because one of the other ones is, entertainment, right? One of the 3 pillars is entertainment. Yep. So one of the other things is just being there, right? Posting some personal stuff, however much you want to allow people into your personal life. Mm-hmm. But if you're at an event, post, if, or if somebody posts some, you got to remember, like, the people in your audience, it's like, that's your audience. I mean, a lot of your friends you can think of them as your audience, right? Like, you want to interact, you want to do these things. And so a lot of people just really overthink it. And I just feel like if you just do what you're always doing, but do it under your brand, then you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's like, to take a step further than that, is it's not necessarily an audience, it's a community, right? If you think about if you change your mindset from I'm talking to my followers to I'm talking with this community that we've built together.
Exactly.
And sharing all sides of you. I can't tell you, Raul, like the number of people that like I've just connected with I've been in the mortgage business for like the last 20 years almost. Yeah. And like these are just like my friends, right? And we're connected on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all channels.
Yeah.
And my content might be a little bit different on Instagram as it is on LinkedIn, but that's very like I share very personal things with random colleagues or associates like that I've never really actually even sometimes even met in person. Right. But what's cool about it is that when you do share those more personal things and you have it be appropriate and and nice, that it creates a much stronger bond and makes you want to work with those people further in the future. When hey, we both love dogs, or we both like to fish, or we like sunsets at the beach, like whatever it is, like you have those things in common. So if you're not sharing those things, if all you are is this like kind of corporate robot that only posts educational content, you're not going to get people to follow you. But if they see that whole realistic side of you, that you're a member of your community, that you understand this, that you want to do all these different things, that is super helpful for your own personal brand to help you get deeper relationships with people online.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I worked on. I used to work in gaming actually before mortgage, and we did a lot of we had a lot of community managers for each game, and so all that is basically what we're talking about now is they paid somebody on our team to actively respond to comments and basically give a voice to our game on social media.
So cool.
So this is like literally, taking that concept and bringing it to mortgage and just being like, hey, mortgage, someone needs to be responding to these comments, but in a relatable way. Right.
Human aspect.
Human way.
Yeah.
And
being Tim Cook, not Apple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so that was really just like, that's where a lot of that came from, is just, we got to give it a face. We got to break down the barrier. Yeah. Right now, Christy Messerly talks a lot about, I don't know if you know her, but she talks a lot about, distrust in banking, so we have a really big task to kind of, there's a lot of distrust out there. So we really want to build that trust with a lot of the consumers. And so that's one way you can do it, is just being way more relatable. And being honest, being honest about it, not just doing it for that sake, but also actually, and that's why it's so much stronger to not wait for a lender, your mortgage company, to hire a community manager. And it's so much better to do it on your own. And
Yeah.
like CMOs, it's so much better for you to be the face of the company, because people just relate way more. You're actually there. I can go to your LinkedIn and see that you're actually tied to that company, and you're not
Yeah.
just like a community manager.
Yeah.
So it's way more authentic. And you're talk about building trust.
Well, that's just it. And I think we can let's summarize and kind of end this up.
Yeah.
We probably talked way longer than anyone will ever listen to the two of us together. But I mean, maybe they'll stay for you, but they're definitely not staying 35 minutes for me. But I think really to summarize though, it's that your brand as a company is not ABC Mortgage Company. It's the CEO, it's the CMO, it's other strategic senior executives, but then it's everybody in your organization as well. Everyone needs to have a personal brand that accompanies and is linked arms with your corporate brand. And when those things work in tandem, that's what breaks down those barriers to having that concern or distrust, and builds your overall brand. And people will flock to you for those loans, but also want to come work with you as that organization in general, right?
Yep. Oh
That's
yeah,
it.
that's
Well,
it right there.
any parting thoughts?
Any parting thoughts? No, just I really hope 2023 is a great year. I know mortgages have been pretty tough this last year. And so that's kind of like what we're doing this, man. We want to help people out. And from the kindness of our heart, we just want to give out this free stuff, valuable information that has taken a long time to learn,
Right.
So yeah, I really hope just the best for everybody. And, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can find me all over social media just by my name, Raul Espinosa. And if anybody wants actually even a copy of this PDF, you can go to thedudemedia.com, and I'll put it up today. There's a free download.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just so, yeah, it'd be cool. So, yeah, I just
Great,
wish everyone the
Raul. Thank
best.
you. Thanks so much for spending your hour with me and sharing your wisdom. And I hope anybody listening that needs some help from a corporate branding standpoint, or work to help improve your overall perspective or brand as a mortgage company. Raul is the guy I would 10 out of 10 would recommend him. So give him a shot. All right. Until next time, guys. We'll see you soon. See ya.